Hello, and welcome to my channel.
In the quaint neighborhood of Victorian London, nestled amidst cobblestone streets and charming row houses, stood Theodore's lantern shop. The shop's windows displayed an array of beautifully crafted lanterns, each one a masterpiece in its own right. Theodore took great pride in his work, spending hours meticulously shaping and assembling the delicate pieces. Theodore was a tall and slender man with a kind face and twinkling blue eyes. His hands were calloused from years of working with metal and glass, but they possessed a gentle touch that brought his lanterns to life. He had inherited the shop from his father, who had taught him the art of lantern making from a young age. Every morning, Theodore would open the shop's heavy wooden door, revealing a world of wonder inside. The air was filled with the scent of freshly cut wood and the soft tinkling of glass as lanterns gently swayed from the ceiling. The walls were adorned with sketches and designs, showcasing Theodore's creative process. Theodore's shop was divided into two sections. The front section served as a display area for his finished lanterns, while the back section was his workshop, where he spent countless hours bringing his designs to life. Shelves lined the walls, filled with tools and materials needed for his craft. A large workbench stood in the center, covered in scraps of metal and glass, evidence of Theodore's ongoing projects. Theodore's passion for his craft was evident in every lantern he created. With steady hands and a keen eye, he carefully soldered the metal frames, adorned them with intricate designs, and added colored glass panels that would cast enchanting patterns when illuminated. Each lantern was a testament to Theodore's dedication and love for his art. One particularly memorable lantern was inspired by a field of wildflowers Theodore had stumbled upon during a countryside walk. He spent hours meticulously crafting delicate petals out of stained glass, capturing the vibrant colors and delicate beauty of the flowers. When lit, the lantern cast a mesmerizing dance of light and shadows on the walls, bringing the essence of nature into the heart of London. Theodore's creative process was a delicate dance between inspiration and craftsmanship. He would often spend hours sketching and brainstorming ideas, seeking inspiration from the world around him. He would then carefully select the materials for each lantern, ensuring that they would bring his vision to life. Once the design was finalized, Theodore would begin the meticulous process of shaping the metal frame. With a steady hand and years of experience, he would bend and mold the metal into intricate patterns, paying careful attention to every detail. The metalwork was a laborious process, requiring patience and precision. Once the frame was complete, Theodore would move on to the glasswork. He would carefully select the colors and textures of glass, cutting each piece with precision. He would then carefully solder the glass panels into place, ensuring a secure fit. The final step was to add the finishing touches, such as decorative accents or embellishments, that would give each lantern its unique personality. Please support my channel by liking and subscribing. As evening fell, Theodore's lanterns came to life, casting a warm and inviting glow on the streets of London. Passers-by would pause to admire the intricate patterns dancing on the pavement, feeling a sense of comfort and solace in the soft light. The lanterns brought a touch of magic to the neighborhood, illuminating the lives of its inhabitants. One chilly winter evening, a young girl named Emily stood outside Theodore's shop, her face pressed against the window pane. Her eyes sparkled with wonder as she watched the lanterns flicker and dance. Theodore noticed her and opened the door, inviting her inside. "Would you like to see how the lanterns are made, my dear?" he asked, his voice warm and inviting. Emily nodded eagerly, her small hand clasped in Theodore's larger one. He guided her through the shop, explaining each step of the lantern-making process. Emily was captivated by the craftsmanship and the stories behind each design. As they walked through the shop, Theodore pointed out various tools and materials, explaining their purpose. He showed Emily the shelves filled with colored glass, each piece carefully selected for its unique qualities. He explained how he would cut the glass into different shapes and sizes, creating the intricate patterns that adorned his lanterns. They then moved on to the metalwork section of the shop. Theodore demonstrated how he would bend and shape the metal frames, carefully crafting each curve and angle. Emily watched in awe as he transformed a simple piece of metal into a work of art. Finally, they arrived at the soldering station. Theodore carefully explained the process of soldering, showing Emily how he would join the metal pieces together to create a sturdy frame for the lantern. He demonstrated how he would apply heat to the soldering iron, melting the solder and bonding the metal pieces together. As they finished their tour of the shop, Theodore smiled down at Emily. "Now you know the secrets behind my lanterns," he said. "Would you like to choose one to take home with you?" Emily's eyes widened with delight as she scanned the shelves filled with lanterns of all shapes and sizes. After much consideration, she chose a small lantern with delicate floral patterns. "Thank you, Mr. Theodore," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "I will treasure this lantern forever." Customers flocked to Theodore's shop, drawn not only by the beauty of his lanterns, but also by the stories they held. Theodore would engage in heartfelt conversations, sharing the inspiration behind each design and listening intently to the tales his customers had to tell. The lanterns became vessels for memories and emotions, connecting people through the shared experience of light. One afternoon, a middle-aged man named Mr. Reynolds entered the shop, a somber expression on his face. He approached Theodore with a worn-out lantern in his hands. "This lantern belonged to my late wife," Mr. Reynolds said, his voice filled with nostalgia. "We used to sit by its warm glow, sharing stories and dreams." Theodore took the lantern gently, his eyes filled with empathy. "I can restore it for you," he said softly. "And perhaps we can create a new design that embodies your wife's spirit." Mr. Reynolds nodded, tears welling up in his eyes. Together, they sat down at the workbench, carefully disassembling the old lantern. Theodore examined each piece, taking note of its original design and condition. As he worked on restoring the lantern, Theodore listened intently to Mr. Reynolds' stories of his wife. He learned about their shared love for nature, their adventures together, and the dreams they had woven under the gentle glow of the lantern. Theodore was deeply moved by the love that had been captured within its delicate frame. Once the lantern was restored to its former glory, Theodore began the process of creating a new design. He carefully selected colored glass panels that would represent the beauty and vibrancy of Mr. Reynolds' wife's spirit. He incorporated intricate metalwork that symbolized their shared adventures and dreams. When the lantern was finally complete, Theodore presented it to Mr. Reynolds with a smile. The lantern now held not only the memories of his wife, but also the essence of her spirit. Mr. Reynolds held the lantern in his hands, his eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," he whispered. "You have given me a piece of my wife to hold on to." Among Theodore's regular customers were Mrs. Jenkins, a widow who found solace in the gentle glow of the lanterns, and young Tommy, an orphan who would visit after school to marvel at the craftsmanship. They had become like family to Theodore, and he cherished their visits as much as they cherished his lanterns. Mrs. Jenkins, a kind-hearted woman with silver hair and a gentle smile, would often sit in Theodore's shop for hours, basking in the warm light. She would share stories of her late husband, reminiscing about the moments they had spent together under the glow of a lantern. One afternoon, as Mrs. Jenkins sat in her favorite chair, Theodore approached her with a new lantern in hand. It was adorned with delicate patterns of roses, her late husband's favorite flower. "I made this lantern especially for you, Mrs. Jenkins," Theodore said, his voice filled with warmth. "May it bring you comfort and remind you of the love you shared." Tears welled up in Mrs. Jenkins' eyes as she accepted the lantern, her hands trembling with emotion. "Thank you, Theodore," she whispered. "This means more to me than words can express." Tommy, a bright-eyed boy with tousled brown hair, would eagerly help Theodore around the shop, his small hands carefully handling glass panels and metal frames. Theodore saw in Tommy the same spark of curiosity and passion that had ignited his own love for lantern making. One day, as Tommy visited the shop after school, he approached Theodore with a determined look on his face. "Mr. Theodore, I want to learn how to make lanterns like you," he said, his voice filled with excitement. Theodore smiled down at Tommy, a twinkle in his eyes. "I would be honored to teach you," he said. "Come, let's start with the basics." And so, Theodore began to pass on his knowledge and love for lantern making to Tommy. They spent hours together in the workshop, with Theodore patiently guiding Tommy through each step of the process. Tommy's eyes would light up with joy as he held his first completed lantern, a testament to his growing skills. The lanterns had a remarkable ability to bring joy and happiness to those who encountered them. Theodore witnessed countless smiles and heard tales of how the lanterns had brightened someone's day or provided a sense of comfort during difficult times. The simple beauty of light had the power to uplift spirits and create moments of pure happiness. One summer evening, as the sun began to set, Theodore decided to surprise the neighborhood with a lantern-lit street festival. He hung lanterns from every lamppost and tree, casting a magical glow over the cobblestone streets. The air was filled with laughter and music as families gathered to celebrate the joy of light. Children ran through the streets, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the lanterns. Couples strolled hand in hand, their steps guided by the gentle light. The neighborhood came alive with a sense of wonder and enchantment, as if transported to a different time and place. As Theodore walked through the lantern-lit streets, he couldn't help but smile. The joy and happiness that radiated from the faces of his neighbors filled his heart with warmth. He knew that he had brought a little bit of magic into their lives, even if just for one evening. One day, a new lantern shop opened nearby, threatening Theodore's business. The competition was fierce, and Theodore's heart sank as he saw customers being drawn away by the allure of novelty. He knew he had to find a way to overcome this challenge and continue spreading his light. Theodore spent sleepless nights contemplating how he could make his lanterns even more captivating. He experimented with new designs, incorporating intricate metalwork and experimenting with different types of glass. He refused to let his craft fade away, determined to find a way to stand out amidst the competition. One evening, as Theodore sat in his shop, deep in thought, Mrs. Jenkins entered with a determined look on her face. "Theodore, my dear," she said, her voice filled with conviction. "You have brought so much joy and light into our lives. We cannot let this new shop dim your flame." Theodore looked up at Mrs. Jenkins, gratitude filling his eyes. "But how can I compete with their novelty?" he asked, his voice tinged with doubt. Mrs. Jenkins smiled warmly, placing a hand on Theodore's shoulder. "Theodore, your lanterns hold a special place in our hearts. No amount of novelty can replace the warmth and love you infuse into every piece. You must believe in the power of your craft and the connections you have forged with your customers." Her words struck a chord within Theodore, reminding him of the true essence of his craft. He thanked Mrs. Jenkins for her unwavering support and returned to his work with renewed vigor. Theodore's determination ignited as he refused to let his lantern shop fade away. He brainstormed new designs, experimented with different materials, and sought ways to make his lanterns even more captivating. He was fueled by his love for his craft and the support of his loyal customers. Theodore spent hours in his workshop, experimenting with new designs and pushing the boundaries of his craft. He incorporated elements of nature, capturing the beauty of flowers, birds, and landscapes in his lanterns. He also experimented with different colors and textures of glass, creating intricate patterns that danced in the light. As he worked, Theodore's passion grew stronger. He found solace in the creative process, losing himself in the delicate dance between inspiration and craftsmanship. He knew that his lanterns held a unique magic that could not be replicated by any other shop. Word spread through the neighborhood about Theodore's struggle, and soon the community rallied behind him. They organized lantern-lit gatherings, where people shared stories of how Theodore's lanterns had touched their lives. The community's support reminded Theodore of the deep connections forged through his work and reignited his determination. One evening, as Theodore closed his shop, he noticed a group of children huddled together, whispering and giggling. They approached him shyly, clutching handmade lanterns of their own. "We made these for you," one of the children said, her eyes shining with excitement, "to remind you that you're not alone." Tears welled up in Theodore's eyes as he accepted the lanterns, feeling a surge of gratitude for the community that had embraced him. He knew he was not alone in his journey to spread light. Inspired by the children's gesture, Theodore organized a lantern-making workshop for the entire community. People of all ages gathered in his shop, each person crafting their own unique lantern. Laughter filled the air as neighbors helped each other, sharing tips and stories along the way. The workshop became a symbol of unity and resilience, as people from all walks of life came together to create something beautiful. They were reminded that even in the face of adversity, they could find strength and support within their community. With renewed vigor, Theodore's lantern shop began to thrive once again. The enchanting glow of his lanterns attracted new customers, drawn by the stories of resilience and the warmth they brought to the community. Theodore's triumph over adversity was a testament to the power of light and the resilience of the human spirit. One sunny morning, as Theodore stepped outside his shop, he was greeted by a bustling crowd. The neighborhood had come together to celebrate his success, filling the streets with music, laughter, and, of course, lanterns. As Theodore stood amidst the jubilant crowd, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. His lanterns had not only illuminated the lives of others, but had also brought him a profound sense of purpose and fulfillment. He whispered a silent thank you to the lanterns, for they had not only illuminated the lives of others, but had also illuminated his own. And as he walked away, lantern in hand, he carried with him the knowledge that the beauty of everyday life could be found in the simplest of things, even in the flickering light of a lantern.